correspondents are stationed all across the country. Hasan Abdullah is in Ankara, and we have Ediz Tiyansan in Istanbul. Andrew Hopkins is in the coastal city of Izmir, and Ali Mustafa is in the southeastern city of Diyarbakir. Well, Ediz Tiyansan is at a polling center in Istanbul with more. Ediz, how's it looking over there?
Well, Kilmini, we just crossed over to the Asian side of the city. We are now in one of the major districts called Üsküdar, and this is also where President Erdogan lives during the time which he spends in Istanbul, and that's why he's assigned to cast his vote today in one of the primary schools here in Üsküdar. And I can tell you that extraordinary security measures are in place. There are very strict controls on anyone who's entering or leaving this area, and I should tell you that there is also a huge media presence. A variety of both local and international networks are here with me to document what could potentially be a historic moment, a historic day in Turkey. Some other ministers and officials in the meantime have already cast their votes elsewhere in the country, and we have also heard from the Interior Minister Süleyman Soylu, who just announced earlier that the voting process has started peacefully in all corners of the country. He said that thanks to the security services, the Turkish democracy will be in action today in a peaceful manner. Just remember that at least 300 on active duty across the country. It is going to be a very long and busy day, but especially so for Istanbul, because remember that there are roughly 9.5 eligible voters just in this city alone, and that is why we're going to see quite a commotion, and that is why the security services are especially in high alert here in Istanbul.
I'm sure, Ediz, will see a big crowd draw as Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan casts his ballot later. Thank you so much for that. Okay, now let's cross over to Andrew Hopkins, who is in the coastal city of Izmir.
I'm here outside a high school in Izmir, which is one of more than 9,000 polling stations which are open throughout the day. There are more than 3 million people eligible to vote in this constitutional referendum. And the important thing to remember about Izmir is that it's a stronghold of the main opposition party in Turkey, the Republican People's Party, the CHP. They control the local council here. They have the most MPs here. In fact, on the west coast of Turkey, which is where we are, it's absolutely populated by MPs from the CHP. And it's also important to note that in previous constitutional referendums proposed by the ruling AKP, this city has come out strongly against those proposals. In 2007, there was a referendum to make the president directly elected by the people. Before that, the president was elected by parliament. On that occasion, Izmir came out against those proposals, although the whole country voted to introduce them. And in 2010, the same thing happened, another constitutional referendum, this time to try to limit the powers of the military, also to set down some rights and freedoms in writing, to try to bring Turkey more in line with EU regulations. The country as a whole approved those proposals, but again, Izmir was against it.
A few hours into this exhaustive process and a few ballots to show for it. The process here is to choose a decision between evet or hayır, yes or no, and that's what the people in Diyarbakir are deciding. They say the overarching consideration for them in this referendum is peace, and peace in this area, an area which has been wrecked by violence by the PKK, this outlawed terrorist group that has been conducting a campaign of terror, according to the Turkish state, since June 2015. That's when a 2-year tentative ceasefire lapsed between the Turkish state and the PKK, and thousands of people have been killed. The Turkish government says it has killed thousands of PKK fighters, and many civilians have also been killed in attacks carried out by the PKK. The interesting thing is that people on both sides, yes and no, say that the referendum is an opportunity to restart peace talks. But the government says there can be only peace if the PKK lays down its weapons unconditionally. Only then can peace talks begin, according to the Turkish government.
This is Çankaya High School in Çankaya district of Ankara. Now, in this district, some 612,000 people are eligible to vote. When we look at Ankara, some 3.4 million registered voters. And as soon as the polling station opened, there were people who were eager to vote. Most of the voters here so far in the morning have been the elderly. The youngsters, when we spoke to them earlier, they said that they're going to be casting their vote perhaps later in the day. Now, Ankara, of course, is very important for both sides because they seem to understand that there is a lot of symbolism which is attached to a win here in Ankara. And of course, the security is also quite tight, especially in some parts of Ankara. The security officials have told us that earlier they have nabbed some suspects who they believe were planning to carry out a terrorist attack during this referendum. So they're saying that they're not taking any chances. As far as the people are concerned, they're saying that they are confident about the measures that have been taken to protect them. And also they're saying that they're just very eager to cast their vote and they look forward to the result, which of course they understand and acknowledge is going to be quite a moment in the country's history.
Well, for more coverage on the referendum, you can go to our website, trtworld.com/Turkey's Choice. There, you're going to find everything you need to know about Sunday's vote. And on Twitter, it's #Turkey's Choice.